Hi everyone, it's Becky here. Welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. And today I am on my way to Waterfront Station. The views from the SkyTrain are always very enjoyable. Here I am. Spring is arriving here in Vancouver and the weather is getting much better now compared to the rain season over the past 4 months. Yeah, so that means more outdoor walking time and more nature and urban sketches coming up. Here I am outside Canada Place. There are a lot of great things to see around here. The nature landscape and also the cityscape of downtown Vancouver. Here I'm walking into a souvenir shop. And they have a lot of Hawaiian decorations here because they have this flyover Hawaii thing going on at the Canada Place. Here I'm outside the Flying Whale Cafe. It's my first time here. I got a cup of blue whale latte and the blueberry muffin. And I'm going to take about 5 to 7 minutes to sketch my cup of latte and muffin, starting with the outline of the mug. The top is always an oval, using loose lines to show the thickness of the mug, and the liquid line, loose circles for the bubbles on the surface of the drink, and also the sprinkles of blue sugar. So apparently this is latte for kids without any coffee or tea in here, just milk. It tastes like vanilla ice cream. Now I'm drawing the little dish underneath, and also the thickness of the dish was very gentle hand pressure to get the line done. And that's it. Now I'm drawing the outline of the muffin. It's kind of like the shape of a mushroom. Inside the outline of the wrapper, I am drawing the shape of the muffin, and then these loose dots of blueberries and wrinkles on the body part of the muffin. Some more folds and wrinkles on the surface of the muffin, also around the wrapper as well. So it has a really nice organic look with quick and gentle hand pressured lines. Now it's time to paint watercolors quickly before my latte gets cold. First layer for the muffin is a really light yellow ochre, wet onto wet, some orange, and then burnt sienna for the third layer, wet into wet. The color of the wrapper is a nice brown color. So burnt sienna, play with water control, so I have different values of browns. Mixing a dark sepia by mixing dark blue into burnt sienna for the bottom of the muffin and also inside the wrapper. And using a little bit of purple and an extra layer of orange brown. So the crusty area of the muffin, it needs slightly more contrast. Now it's time to paint my cup of latte. So just wetting the area very lightly with clear water. It barely has any color, so just a super diluted lemon yellow. And also wet onto wet, some cerulean blue and little dots of more concentrated cerulean blue for the crystal sugar. And when painting pretty much all objects, I like to play with water control and also leaving areas white or the first layer of wash to get the shine. For example, the shine of the ceramic surface is the same blue color, but I'm just punching on different brush strokes with different amount of water mixed with the paint. So the middle part of the little dish is pretty shiny. And that's it. Here's the look of my finished sketch. The cafe is pretty quiet. Now, I'm actually going to sketch the view outside the cafe window, the view of the sky and the mountain and the seawater, starting with a contour outline of the mountain. And I always love tracing out the curve of the top of mountains. The line is always an unpredictable curve, but still so interesting and full of the rhythm of nature. Adding some little spots of snow caps. And also adding a seagull flying over the mountain. Now I'm actually starting to figure out the bottom of the mountain. And also, before that, I want to draw this man because this spot of the walkway is really quiet without that many people passing by. Starting to draw this man looking at the landscape. really draws the viewer in to add a great narrative for my sketch. So when I'm drawing the stitching lines on a winter jacket, I always draw in loose curves to follow the cylindrical shape of a human body. And also shaded in his hair and pants with gray and black tones using my ink pen. Now I'm drawing the curving bottom of the mountain. On the bottom of the mountain is actually a piece of flat land. Okay, and then it has a really nice growth of evergreen trees. And in the middle of the evergreen tree forest is one of Vancouver's famous landmarks, the Lions Gate Bridge, linking the city of Vancouver with the city of North Vancouver there into the mountain. Now I'm moving to the right side of my sketch to add these apartment buildings close to the beach in North Vancouver there. As you can see, I'm keeping those buildings in the far distance really simple. Most of them are in rectangular shapes. Those windows, I just keep them in a lot of short parallel lines. And now I am drawing these clusters of houses very close together. So they're actually rows and rows of streets climbing all the way up to the middle of the mountain. Yeah, so there are a lot of steep slopes in the city of North Vancouver here, because when you're driving around North Vancouver, you're always climbing up or going down hills. And the houses there are very expensive for most people to afford. Now I am drawing the foliage texture above the city of North Vancouver here, following the 3D form of the mountain ridges. Yeah, so a lot of these folds on the mountain is going in diagonal curving direction. And adding some accentuation for the forest here on the bottom. Because these trees are in the front of the city, I really want to make them look stronger rather than just a cluster of lines. Yeah, so just going over these round and pointy trees a few more times with more solid ink lines to refine their shapes, and also adding a bit of hatching for the foliage texture. Now I'm seeing a sea airplane landing on the water. So these sea airplanes, they could take you to Whistler and Victoria within like 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so now I am about to use a lot of relaxing curves to draw the lapping water of the sea. Because my film battery is going low, I have to reserve the battery power and not recording all of my sketching process. So as you can see, the idea here is very straightforward. Just relax and get the feel of ripples done. So just writing down the name of the cafe, the date and the date underneath. Now it's time to paint watercolors to really bring this scenery to life. So as you can see, I use a very simple set of painting materials, one watercolor palette from Etchr, and 2 to 3 water brushes. Just wetting the sky area with clear water and putting on a really light wash of lemon yellow. The sky is very cloudy, but I still could feel the strong sunshine pushing through the clouds. A lot of energy. So yeah, a little more stronger lemon yellow on the bottom of the sky close to the mountain. Alright, so now I think the sky is too wet to add the gray shades of the clouds. So I'm going to let it dry a bit. While waiting for that to dry, I am going to paint the first layer of the sea water. Same idea, just wetting the surface of the sea with clear water. I want to add a more vibrant tone of turquoise. So this is a mix of viridian green and cerulean blue, diluted, the first layer of water. I always like to keep it really transparent. And I want to be really impressionistic when painting the water. Well, from the reference photo, you can see the water is just like gray, right? But with our eyes, when we're looking at the water in real life, if you look very deeply, you're going to see multiple tones of blues, greens, and turquoise. Yeah, so now I'm adding on some other colors like cerulean blue and also a bit of green, the color of the seaweed. Yeah, so that's very much it for the first layer of the sea. I'm gonna let it dry a bit before adding some contrast of thick brushstrokes. Now, I think I'm ready to go back to painting the sky. So I just mix cobalt blue with a little bit of royal purple to get these bluish grays for the clouds hanging above the mountain. And this is still wet into wet. As you can see, this bluish gray is merging with the moist yellow wash underneath. So if I painted this about 2 to 3 minutes ago, it will be too wet for this nice, soft, controlled wet into wet effect to happen. The paint will probably get soaked up by the yellow and, float around out of control. So now the time is just right. Starting to spread out this bluish gray a little more lightly, so I have different values of the same bluish gray tone around. I also added a stronger brushstroke of bluish gray for the cloud there on the upper right. So now I just grabbed pure cerulean blue to paint a pocket of blue sky showing in between the clouds, just to add a more happier atmosphere. Alright, so now I'm ready to move on to add more definition for the surface of the sea. Starting with the edge of the mountain is a turquoise containing less water compared to the first layer, just to wrap around the bottom of the mountain in a really strong way. And for the next step, I'm going to use a very relaxing way to paint and yet still in control with my hand pressure pushing down the brush, the amount of water that I mix into this turquoise blue, turquoise green pigment. So as you can see, the value of this turquoise is not that different from the very first layer underneath. So my brushstrokes look very gentle and not too harsh because of just a slight bit of difference between this second layer and the first layer of water wash underneath. And then gradually I am adding a stronger value of blue and turquoise, especially for the foreground area of the sea. Yeah, just play around with the different hues of blue, green, and turquoise. Some brushstrokes could be pretty thick, other ones could be more refined using the very tip of the brush. And I'm also doing this when the previous layer is moist and not too wet. If your previous layer is way too wet, your brushstrokes are going to disappear because the previous layer is soaking up the paint and dissolving the brushstroke you're adding on. So you have to make sure that the moisture is just right to add these brushstrokes so they'll look strong but not too harsh. So blue and green are really calming colors, and I'm truly enjoying this painting process. Adding some more refined little brushstrokes around the edge of the mountain, and also not to overpaint. I'm actually preserving a lot of the areas from the very first layer, just so the seawater it looks shimmering. And I think that's very much it for painting the surface of the sea. Now it's time to add final bit of brushstrokes and being very careful around the last stage of painting this water, always being aware to not overpaint. and just let the water shine. Now I just wetted the surface of the mountain with clear water, putting on a really light wash of yellow ochre, because underneath the trees is the earth, and it has this yellow earthy color. And also the color of the sunshine is also giving the mountain and the forest a nice mellow yellow glow. Now I'm about to do wet onto wet. This is a mix of viridian green and yellow ochre. And my brush strokes are always following the three-dimensional form, the folds, the ridges of the mountain. Watercolor had a really nice quality of transparency, so as you can see, the yellow still shines underneath through the green. And this transparent effect is really charming. That's one of the things I love about painting with watercolors. Now I'm adding a darker value of green, more of a turquoise green color, on the top of the mountain. At the same time, still following the ridges that I feel, the rhythm of the mountain form. And now I am mixing viridian green with yellow ochre to paint the lower part of the mountain, in between the clusters of houses. So this is how nature works. Usually the bottom of the mountains are of a lighter green tone, and the higher part of the mountains in the distance, they are more of a turquoise and also blue tone because of aerial perspective. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm adding some warmer greens for the lower part of the mountain, playing with viridian green, mixing it with a lot of yellow ochre and cadmium yellow. And now I see the forest is glowing. The sun is coming out behind the clouds. But I'm going to begin with the lightest tone, the shining green. This is a viridian green mixed with yellow ochre and also a little bit of cadmium yellow. So to show the brightness of something, adding vibrant colors is not just enough. You have to add the contrasting colors. Be really brave to add these shade colors. So now I am adding viridian green mixed with burnt sienna, a pretty deep shade of green. And this shade color is roughly on the right side of each little tree because the sun is on the left side. So our observation skills are very important when we're painting outdoors, like painting pretty much everything. Now adding some stronger greens for the bottom of the mountain, like viridian green, and using leftover turquoise to paint the lion skate bridge. Some more leftover turquoise for the mountain peaks in the distance behind this mountain of North Vancouver. And a bit more stronger accentuation, the leftover blue turquoise. And that's it. When I think I've captured the essence of a scenery, I just stop painting. Here is a look of my finished sketch. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. I will see you very soon next time. Have a great day, everyone.